Hey guys, it's Anna from OneThrive. I am here alone today since it was my own presentation. Okay. All right, here we go. If I don't know if you had a chance to catch the presentation, it was just a really quick presentation showing you guys how I use my OneThrive Center to stay organized. Hey guys, can you keep it down, please? All right, thank you. Thank you. So I have been working with OneThrive for I think about 3 years now. The way I got hooked up with them is I actually contacted them because I had been looking for that kind of board for a long time. The one I found that I liked the most was Pottery Barn. It was too expensive for me, and I saw their board, and I'm actually a content creator. So I was like, hey, would you guys like to do a partnership with me? And from then on, my partnership with them just grew, and I do a lot of their marketing. That is what I do as a work from home mom now. I do my own, I have my own marketing firm with a business partner. So it has taken me a while to figure out exactly how to make the board work for me. I mean, of course, it was always a useful place to drop stuff and put stuff in, but it took me a while to figure out the exact configuration that would work for my family. So I put together a PDF, which I will put the link to after this, about some things you want to consider, like what needs your family has you want to consider when building your board. Because I know whether you do it with OneThrive or someone else, like putting all those pieces together, unless you're like a very handy do-it-yourselfer, is not super cheap. So going through those considerations beforehand is going to help you, sort of save money and get the most out of your board from the very beginning. So the first thing I would consider is where you want your board to be, like what your space looks like. So then, like, for example, with OneThrive, do you want the whiteboard? Do you want the skinny board? Where is a place that all your family will see it? Some people are okay. Like if you saw my presentation, you see, because we live in Chicago, and there are no attached garages. Most people come in their front door. It's by our front door. I know most people don't like that if you're lucky enough to live somewhere where you have an attached garage or a mudroom or something like that. I know a lot of people like to put them in those areas. Although I do think the OneThrive is nice enough to, it looks nice enough to have somewhere where people can see it. Before I had the OneThrive, I had this like really ugly, large, like paper calendar on my wall with like a cork board, and it just did not look as nice. That's what sort of led me to contacting OneThrive. So the first consideration I'd say is, what location in your home would work best for a command center for your family. And if you guys have any questions as I'm giving these tips, please go ahead and pop them in and I will answer them as I am going. The second consideration, I think, is like, do you have kids? Is it like just you and your husband, or do you have kids? And because this is a back to school group, I'm assuming most people have kids. So then you want to think about what pieces work for a family. Like what kind of scheduling do you want to put on there? Okay, this is a really good question, which is a lot of people have. I did mention in my presentation that a lot of times when I tell people about the board, or when we get the comments or feedback from on social media, when people see the boards, they're always like, oh, but this is just like one more like mental load on a mom that she has to take care of, which is why it's really important. Like this person's asking, how do you incorporate the kids into planning day each week? Do you give them specific tasks, or do you just ask their input? I like to include the three of them so they want to use it. Not sure the best way with them being 8, 6, and 4. So my kids are really close to your kids' age. They're 9, 7, and 5. And right now, my 9-year-old, which, like I mentioned in my presentation, she actually has her own OneThrive board in her room. It's the Charlie. It's very lightweight. It works with command strips. So she has that in her room, but she still participates in our big board. So they know a few things. When I do the monthly reset, like I mentioned, I get them involved. Sometimes I do the artwork, but sometimes they like to do that. And my little one likes to put the magnets on there, like for every day of the week. So they always know, oh, it's the monthly reset, and they sort of get into it and helping me with those things. They also like to go through, because they, for example, if they get a party invitation or, the field trip this week notification, and we put those up on our cork board, when I go through, so I mentioned this in the presentation, and This is something I think Soraya maybe mentioned, just doing what we call a weekly reset. So on Sunday, everything in my board, I kind of reset so we're ready for the next week. So the main one I use is the weekly calendar that has like every day. And so, we erase that and I go through the week so the kids get excited about like, oh, include my field trip, I have the birthday party on Saturday. So they get really excited about it and they love to like, look at the board through the week and see like what's going on this week. So I let them participate. I used to be really like strict about like, oh, I want my board to look pretty. I want the lettering to look pretty. Like I'm going to do it. I want like my little art design I do every month to look pretty. I'm kind of like go with that and let them participate. So sometimes my older two will be like, oh, can I write the events this weekend? I let them do that. Just write down like, I'll be like, this is what's happening Monday. This is what's happening Tuesday. And they'll write it down. So they like to get involved like that. And then they all do a really good job of checking the board through the week. So a lot of things they always know they have, like, okay, every Wednesday's judo, so they already know. But like my husband and I sometimes like, forget. So it's always a good place. Like my husband will also look there, we'll all look there and be reminded like, or for like, what are we doing Saturday? Oh yeah, there's that birthday party or there's that school event. So that's how I get the kids involved. They love drawing with the chalk markers. I actually bought a couple extra of the black to-do boards just to let them each, have a place to design with it. I have the monthly boards, but never seem to fill them out, and I'm not sure I could fit everyone's stuff on them. So the monthly boards, I guess it depends. So do you have like the medium monthly board or the big monthly board? The monthly boards are kind of hard to do like really small stuff unless you have, some people are like really good at doing like the really fine writing and they'll be able to do it on one square. I also find that hard, which is why I tend to only write like big events we have that month, like, spring break or like someone's birthday or birthday party. And I use the weekly board mostly for like real specific things. One big, one medium. Okay, so you have the medium calendar board. A lot of people do that. They buy like multiple of the calendar boards and have like different ones for each kid. So they'll have like 3 medium blackboards and then like or they'll have one blackboard for like the parents and one for the kids. And another thing that helps if you're writing small is color coding. So you don't have to like write the person's name, just like soccer or whatever, but anything that's in blue is, belongs to Izzy for us, for example. Everything that's orange belongs to CJ. So that also helps with the space. But that is a good question and why I use the weekly more to like really write out like everything for that week. Yeah, I mean, for me, that's been the biggest benefit of the weekly board. Other people use it for other stuff. Like a lot of people use it for meal planning, I've seen, and people do the meal planning too on like the monthly board, just because that's just one thing it's easier to do on the medium board. OneDrive also has a paper calendar. If you saw the presentation, you saw it in there. They sell out of those sort of at the beginning of the year, but they should have them again in 2024. So it's just a wood back, and then it has a paper calendar you can put on top and take it out to write anything you need to write. So a lot of people who need more space or who really have to think ahead, like we've had people who have, for example, children with disabilities or medical conditions, when they're like, I need to look ahead because, I'm making their appointments every month out for like 6 months. They benefit from the paper calendar because then they can like, write it ahead to the other months. Yes, I just use OneDrive has that little like rip away pad. I just use that for the meal plan, which isn't as like pretty or nice to look at as the big board. But yeah, some people have multiple of the weekly boards because I mean, I just think they're so useful in that way. The other thing you can consider is adding things that aren't necessarily available through OneDrive, but that you can just add on, because OneDrive has, the strip that has the hooks, and there's also hooks in the mail holder, which I find really useful for baskets. So each hook on the OneDrive system can hold 10 pounds. So as long as like for your kid's backpack is 10 pounds or less, and once they get older, it usually isn't because they have like so many books. So that's not something you want to put on there. But if the little ones who have backpacks, you can put them on there. And I also just like to put baskets, all different kinds of baskets. So it can be like a storage place for all those things that just kind of belong there. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, I put all my kids like hair stuff, my girls' hair stuff in one place so that we always know where that is on the way out the door. And there's one that's just kind of like a junk pile that people throw like pens and sunglasses and stuff in. So there's ways to incorporate pieces that aren't from OneDrive into the OneDrive to make it work for you, or even to use it as part of a bigger system. I've seen, people have it there, but then they also have a lot more baskets. And if you follow our community or Pinterest, you can see all kinds of ideas people have of how to use these and how to use different components. I'll actually, at some point today, drop a picture and various pictures of ways people have set up the system that are, different ideas than the ones I mentioned here that just work for different people. So the other thing to consider is if this is, besides keeping the schedules, what else you want from your sort of OneDrive Family Command Center drop zone. Are you guys keeping mail and paperwork there? That's been the other biggest thing. So for me, the weekly reset has been great because I not only take the schedule and rewrite like, okay, this week, Monday through Sunday, this is what we're doing. I also go through all our paperwork because sort of before that, it was like this school form from this kid and this party invitation from this kid. And then it was like, when was that party? And we're like looking through all the mail. Everything just goes in the same place. So I have a folder for each kid. And if I get a form that's like, this is due tomorrow, I just like send it back in. But anything that's like, this is happening next month, whatever, blah, blah, I put it all in the folder. And on Sunday, I just take 1 hour to do our reset, write everything that's going on that week and then look through their folders and see, okay, we have to turn in, fill out this form for them to get a library card, sign this for a field trip or, whatever is going on with their schools. We use a digital family calendar, which is why I've had trouble remembering to use a physical calendar board, but plus couldn't decide who should be which color. Yeah, I know a lot of people use digital family calendars. I know that works like really well for a lot of people, and I've seen them online. I do. I don't have a digital family calendar, but I do put a lot of things in my phone, probably like everyone else. For me and how my brain works, it like really helps me to physically write down stuff. It helps me remember it better. I don't know how the digital family calendars work, but like, when people send me emails and I'm just like, yes, add to calendar, it doesn't like sink in for me as well as when I write it out. And also I like the aspect of like, with my phone, when I was doing it on my phone, my kids or my husband was like, when's that thing again? When's that party again? When is that basketball game? So then I'm still the one looking it up. I like with the board, I'm just like, go to the board, go to the board, go to the board. And then they kind of don't really ask that much anymore. Now they just know, like if they want to know something, they go to the board. Maybe as the kids get older, a digital family calendar that they all have, would work for them. But right now my kids are small, so they don't have tablets or iPhones or anything like that. Yeah, I will say that though OneDrive or any kind of like physical command center, I think works really well for people who are very visual, who like to like see and visualize, the dates. That's the way my brain works. So I like to like see everything in comparison with each other. And I don't know, maybe because I'm over 40, even though I've, used digital stuff for a good chunk of my life, my brain still reverts to that. Like, I like writing it down. Like I still write down when I'm in a meeting with a client, I still write down notes with pen and paper. I mean, they've done a lot of studies on the way the brain processes things when you have to write them down versus when you're just like typing. And it helps you. It's like a memory trigger to write it down. The way your brain has to process writing is different. So for me, who am a very forgetful person, it really helps to write things down to like reinforce what's happening. And then and because we also kind of talk about it at that like Sunday, every day, whoever, they don't help me like every Sunday, but whoever's around and wants to help can help. And we talk out loud like, oh, this is on Wednesday, we have to turn that in on Thursday. So talking about it out loud and writing it down just helps me. Yeah, so your kids are all teens, so they probably have, phones or whatever. I am trying to hold off on that as long as I can. Probably is coming sooner than I wanted to. But yeah. Okay, we're running now towards the end of time. So if you guys have any last minute questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'm just going to end it here in a second, and I will drop the link to the freebie that has a guide to build a command center for the considerations you might want to take if you're building one, and before you go and purchase one, the things you might want to think through what would work for you. And I will also be dropping another challenge today for you guys to do, for you guys to do to win more prizes and enter into that bigger giveaway. Your youngest got a phone last month. How old? I'll see it in the comments. My oldest is 9. She's starting to push. A lot of her friends are starting to get, if not phones, like Apple Watches or, some form of communicative tool because they want to talk to their friends. So I don't know. Maybe you guys have some advice. Maybe that should be a challenge because to answer like what age and what tool do you have for your kids to communicate? Because for me, someone who works in social media, I have a lot of concerns. 13. I think that's like a good compromise age. So thank you guys, and I will see you in the group.